intro where we come in like Voltron characters and we slide down those things.
Dino thrusters are go.
Dino thrusters are go. Recording in progress.
Oh man, you guys and your dino thrusters and your all kinds of shit.
Welcome.
Oh, hi. It's the
the
Fan Fest,
podcast.
guys.
Fan
Welcome to
Fest.
the Fan Fest. It's a Fan Fest.
Woo-hoo! Fan Fest.
It's like the Pirates Fan Fest, but more people showed up for this.
Yes.
I was gonna say at least the same amount of people showed up.
Fan Fest, guys. Welcome to the
Oh man, somebody's
who's
watching
that
it
from?
live.
I'm not.
That was my fault.
Oh, that's
Carl,
funny.
That
Yep. See,
Carl,
there's the
that's
delay
why-
you have to deal with.
Carl. That's why I'm the number one fan.
I know.
because-
I was just seeing that if any of the people that I told to come watch came to watch. So they're all fired tomorrow. So
All
Okay.
good. Well,
Me there.
welcome to New Dimension Comics Presents the Toddcast. I am John. With me, as always, is Tim, or almost always is Tim, and we are joined by two extremely special guests today. Our two most watched episode fans, Ron and Carl, and we're going to talk about comics and how they got into it, and just being comic fans in the today. But first, as usual, we have to do some NDC housekeeping and let you guys know about some events. So every Saturday still is the Elwood VFW clearance of the 25-cent books. Going up there and checking out. A lot of indie stuff. Then this Sunday, I will be slinging hot dogs on the grill out back of Cranberry from noon to 6. There's a couple vendors already signed up, and I'm pretty positive we have a taco truck coming. So you may want to stop just to check that out. If nothing else, I will give you a free hot dog versus having to buy some tacos. But it's a good time. Support that store. It's tiny. Need some help. Then we have the Secret Warehouse Extended Cut. That is July 17th and 18th. A Saturday and a Sunday. If you missed the one last week, go check it out. I believe we're going to add a couple more boxes, but not a ton. And then super cool announcement. Ron Friends will be signing Heroes Union at Mills, Cranberry, and Waterfront. So he's going to be at the Mills at 12 noon on August 4th, which is the Wednesday it comes out. Then he's going to be at Cranberry at 4 o'clock that day. Each of these signings are 3 hours apiece, by the way. And then on the 5th of August, he will be at Waterfront from 4 to 7. So go check those out. And then that weekend, you can go to Butler and hang out for their anniversary sale. So a lot of stuff on sale that weekend. It will be super cool. And then also don't forget Three Rivers Comic Con Light October edition. Part 2, the intense version is October 16th and 17th. And we are working on some actual guests for that one. So don't forget to check out our webpage on that as things develop. So, all right.
Is Ron Friends signing books?
Not at the Three River Show.
No, at the stores, like when he comes down to the waterfront stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so bring like your May Parkers and things like that, and get them signed.
Right. Also, you could buy his new Heroes Union book.
Well, yeah, buy his new book, but like if you have those too, bring them down.
Right.
I just pulled out a new a Ron Friends Spider-Man with the black Spider-Man suit. I just pulled it out because it was one of the ones I was going to talk about tonight. But yeah, if you could sign that, that'd be really cool. The black Spider-Man suit.
Is it a 252? Because I have mine on the wall. I can just hold it up.
It's not a 252.
I could take my 252.
There you go.
I have 3 of them actually.
You can take it if it comes back from grading.
Like
I don't think we sent that one out.
I have one that's unsigned, one that just says "Best wishes, Ron Friends," and another one says "To John, best wishes, Ron Friends."
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
So, but
Carl and I sent books out in February to be graded.
There's still
it's July.
Yeah, when I sent them a message, like I think it was like a month ago, they said pressing is 164 business days lead time, and then after pressing, the grading process is like a 60-day lead time. I'm like, so a year.
I don't even know how many 164 days is. Is that like
a lot?
6 months?
I think it's 2
Yes.
years.
I got to take my shoes off for that calculation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't,
It's 5.5
John-
months, but it's a lot of days.
Yikes.
That's a lot. See, this is why I just don't get it pressed. I just, if I send it, I send
We're gonna
it
have
raw.
to. We're gonna have to.
We're
doing
gonna
it
start
ourselves.
learning, so we're gonna get press and learn.
I
Don't
may or may
forget
not
too,
know a couple people that do that, by the way. So
there's a couple people at the store that have been telling me about it, and they're like, just get a press, buy some dollar books, practice on some cheap dollar books. That's the way to go. You can literally do that and perfect it before you ever touch like an expensive book. But I know what'll happen. I'll be like, oh, it's a dollar book. Who cares? It'll come out perfect. And then I'll touch a ASM 252, be like, I got all this practice, and I'll F it up. So,
yep. Well, they say to be a master, you have to do something for like 10,000 hours. So
yeah, I'm gonna do
that's a
a
lot of
series
dollar
of
books, dude.
I'm gonna do a series of videos called Master Ass. It's where I teach you how to do things terribly.
Ah,
That title was already taken.
I think
Master.
that might already be taken.
Don't forget,
Wow.
I just put up a dollar auction on Facebook for the first time in a couple months. It is a ultra mega 35th anniversary dollar auction. There's so many good books, new books on there, new variants, so at great prices. So get on there, make sure you read the rules, and hopefully that will be back as a regular thing. So
whole
Yes.
dollars only, no 50 cents.
That's right.
No
Yep.
pennies. No pennies.
And every book must get a bid.
must.
Ron
Ron sees to it.
I make sure.
True. This is why you're on this. This is why you're on
Yay.
FanFest.
FanFest.
All right.
2021.
Let's talk about some comics. I'm gonna go first this week.
Okay.
With Vinyl.
No.
Number
Yes.
one.
I read
So-
4 pages, just so you know. I read 4
Yeah.
pages, and I got grossed out, and I put it back.
Oh.
I bought it to support Doug, but
Yeah.
I was like, I looked at it like 4 or 5 pages, and then I saw chunks of flesh flying onto an album, and I was like, nope, I'm out. See you later.
Yeah, so this really feels like plastic. Like almost to the point where I'm like, I didn't quite remember how plastic panned out. And I remember in like the second or third issue, you really kind of understood the guy's weird obsession with plastic. So with this one, it's the guy on the cover that has the obsession with vinyl. And he has like a bear mask that he wears. And what I'm thinking is in that very first section, like the very first page where he shows like 2 days later, shows this crazy like zombie woman with a bloody axe like going to kill a dude. I'm pretty sure that's actually a personality of this guy. And when he puts the bear mask on, he kind of it becomes in control again. And then it's just like him and an agent, like some kind of federal agent that are friends having lunch. And then this weird woman and her cronies and the lady with the even weirder mask show up, and they kind of take the guy. The guy on the cover goes to their farm to try to get him back. And you find out there's like a weird, crazy big cult that lives in this house. And then it kind of turns into like a Saw, or like not even a Saw movie, like a thrasher or a slasher film where the guy on the cover shows up in the bear hood. Like they start, like he kind of comes out of like a elevator. These guys start unloading on with their guns, and he just comes up behind them and just totally just kills them. It's very slasher, which is what I like about it. It's also just got weird twists in general. I like Doug's writing. I think it's really, for lack of term, just fucked up. And that's what I like about it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I did enjoy it. Go ahead.
I'm wondering if the bear is a former employee of Dancing Bear, which is like those male strippers that just wear like a bear mask, and then that's it. And then maybe he got fired and took it, and now he's mad and he's murdering people.
That'd be kind of cool. I'm wondering if I seem to think that he has to listen to certain music to trigger him to do different things.
Yeah.
And, and the record, like, kind of, depending on the record, it triggers a different personality, like that kind of thing.
Well, I call bullshit if he starts murdering people to Huey Lewis in the News, because it's been done.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but that'd be such a nice homage.
It would be. It would be. I hate those kind of movies, and I love that movie.
It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Go ahead.
The cover, there's a shoulder. Are the covers going to be like connecting covers or something, or what? Why is there somebody's shoulder in the cover?
That I don't know. You know what? Give me a second. I'm gonna see if I can find out the answer.
Is that an image book?
Yeah, I imagine it does mean that, but you know what? I'm gonna look up the.
I'm looking up
if I can find a second cover. Yeah.
So now I cause a big delay in the show. So now I have to fill.
Not a huge delay.
Do I have to do
No,
it?
If I get cut at the end wrong, it's all
No.
your fault.
Oh, I figured.
No, it does not look like that is going to do that, because the second issue is actually shown in the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So-
I'll message him on Twitter and I'll ask him
why there's a shoulder in the cover.
Yeah, and vinyl
Okay.
number 3 isn't either, but it's got a really cool like Lady Bathory style thing, and also apparently sunflowers, like, because that all that stuff happens at like this crazy sunflower ranch.
Okay.
So that's part of the covers. All the covers have that weird sunflower thing on it, which is kind of cool. So, all right, Tim, you ready?
my first one. Yeah, I can't remember my first
Rancors!
one. Oh yeah,
Rancors!
So I've been buying this series since it came out, and I had read the first issue when it came out, and then never read any of the rest of them. So I started over at the beginning and read all through, and then read number 6. And this takes place, I think I sent you a picture. This is 100 years or 200 years before the Phantom Menace. So this is when the Jedi are at like their peak before their
And Yoda's
fall.
only like 50 years old.
No, he's still like 100 years old, but he's a young guy. Yeah,
Right.
But
Yeah, because Grogu's 50, right? He
Grogu's
Baby.
50. Yeah.
yeah.
But it follows the main character Keeve, who it opens up and she becomes a Jedi Knight in the first issue. In this issue, they are fighting this giant plant monster, and it's kind of like it kind of plants seeds, and you don't know it's there, and then it grows and it grabs people, and the vines go into the people, kind of like a mojo thing with like in the eyes, and it feeds off of people to stay alive. And they're trying to fight back and save this planet. They have Keeve's master, his name is Skiers, Jedi Master Skiers, is infected with one of these plants, and he actually let himself be infected on purpose because he thought that by getting infected on purpose that he could develop some kind of psychic connection with this plant and use the Force to fight back. It didn't work very well, and his Padawan, who's now a Jedi Master, uses his connection to connect herself. So now she's connected, and the two of them are able to fight back and push this monster back by basically feeding it thoughts that it is not getting any nourishment from these people at all. It's very good. It's very different from what you've seen from other Star Wars things. The first 2 or 3 issues are a little slow build up, but this is the issue 5 and 6 where it really started to get into the action, and you start to see things unfold. So they set up a lot of pieces in the first 3 or 4 issues, and I'm really excited for where it's going to go. I'm glad that I waited to read a big chunk of it all at once. So if you're not reading this book and you're a Star Wars fan, you should be reading this book, because this is like the perfect, oh man, I hate the new trilogy, it sucks so bad. If you're one of those people and it bothers you, this is perfect, because this is a complete like 360 and back to more of what you know with Jedis, but also still being its own thing. So
I got through like the first 2 issues and I wasn't impressed. So
yeah, it's like I said, it's a slow build. It's almost 3 or 4 issues. So
yeah, maybe I will go back and get the other ones. Damn it!
And that's why I'm glad I kind of waited and read them in a big chunk, because sometimes with those books, those Star Wars books or anything like that, where there's so much lore and having to build all that out, you almost need several issues in a row. Otherwise, you're just going to forget all these made up planet names and different things by the time the second issue comes out. So
right. All right. My second book is Barbaric. This was on Vault. And this book was interesting.
It was
Mm. Yeah.
So it's kind of like Conan, but kind of like what the hell was that book? Cursed Words. It's kind of like Cursed Words humor with like a Conan style book. So the main character's name's Owen. He's obviously the barbarian. And he can only kill people who actually are bad people and deserve to die. Like, he cannot actually hurt any innocent. He was cursed by some witches. So it kind of starts out with like this guy being like, oh, and here's in this gladiatorial thing is the barbarian against these 3 guys. And he's like, I don't know if I can kill these people. And he's like, well, this guy basically is a child molester, and this guy is drunk and beats his wife, and this guy's just a thief. And he's like, yeah, I can't kill the thief. He's like, no, like, I just can't do that one. So he then just completely just tells the thief, he's like, I'm not going to kill you if you want to leave right now. And he's like, cool, see ya. And like the other guys are like, what the fuck? So, and then he just bloody gore totally rips them apart. And then they kind of show him getting cursed by the sea witches. And then like he's at this bar drinking, and this woman's getting taken to a stake to get burned as a witch. And he's kind of like, hey guys, why don't we just stop burning women? It's not very cool to just burn women. And they're like, no, we're gonna keep burning women. And so he's like, all right, guess I'm gonna have to kill everybody. And then you find out she actually is a witch, and kind of sets herself free, and they both beat the shit out of everybody and kill everyone. It's a cool gory battle mess. And because she's a witch, she can actually talk to the axe as well. And they kind of go off on an adventure, because she's like, hey, did you see that this, like, what's going on over here at this castle? And they show the castle, and the castle has a giant, like, mystical snake thing around it with glowing red eyes. It's really, really kind of fun. Like I said, it's kind of the humor of more of like Cursed Words, if you read that, but the art is killer. I really enjoy it, so check it out.
Which
How
I
did
believe
they know she was a witch?
How did they know she was a witch? I don't know.
Great gravy. Churches.
Let me dunk you in this thing, and if you drown, sorry. If you sink, you're a witch. Whoops. So.
And I think Curse Words is coming back. I saw on Twitter.
That's awesome, because I love me some Curse Words. All right, here's some super specky book that Tim gets to talk about.
I love some Curse Words too, you noodlehead.
I really do love some curse words though.
X Factor number 10. This is the last issue in X Factor.
That sucks.
It was planned. So when I first read that it was the last issue, I was like, oh man, this is one of the best titles that they have going right now. And then when I read that it's all part of a plan, and that these characters are still going to be used, I backed off with my anger a little bit. So
I'm still angry.
This starts out in the gala, and the things that are going on are kind of behind the scenes in the gala. They introduce, everybody's getting dressed and ready, so you can see their fantastically odd and cool and also weird costumes that they're wearing. But the main heart of the story is way back in the beginning, Prodigy was murdered. And when they brought him back, that time between him being resurrected, there was that gap. So he lost that information. So he's trying to solve his murder. And he is found a way. He essentially left himself clues as to where he was going to go and what he was going to do before he died, knowing that there was going to be that gap between when he dies and when his backup and when he's resurrected. These are their fantastic costumes. Essentially what happens, and this is kind of a little giveaway, but the main heart of what's going to happen, or what's happening is after this, he finds a guy who likes to hunt queer black men and kill them. Queer black men or queer black mutants. And that is his thing. And he finds him and beats the crap out of him. Please leave this up for 1 second because I have to tell something about this. So he finds him. He beats the crap out of this guy because he's pissed off after he finds out about, this is the guy that murdered me. And they get the police, and this serial killer is arrested and taken to jail. So that's all good. I thought this was cool because this was like some Naruto shit right here, where iBoy was trying to channel in some powers, and he's doing hand signs, and he shoots off this amazing blast that hits the serial killer and like kind of fries him. And I just thought it was really cool, like him doing the hand signs to channel in some kind of an energy. They're making him into a cooler character than what he's ever been, because before it was just like, oh, I have eyes on me and I'm weird. Now you're finding like these eyes can see all these details and all these things that you can't. So it kind of makes sense that he can maybe do this thing with like his chakra or his energy, if he can see inside himself and see ways to channel it. But the big thing is at the end of this story, and you're going to have to pick it up to see who. At the end of this story, somebody else is murdered. And X Factor is going to be on the case. And this is where where's Magneto? Not because where's Magneto because of, that he did it, but it might be because it's something personal to him. But they're looking for Magneto, and the X Factor is going to spin out into the little mini series. I think it's a 5-issue mini that's the trial of Magneto. So it should be pretty interesting, and they're going to have X Factor as the person or the people that are investigating this murder. So this was a great final issue. I hope after the trial of Magneto that they're back in some shape, some form, because these characters that have been in this book are awesome. So
yep. Can I just say how awesome all these outfits look except for Cyclops?
Cyclops
what's up with that face thing? It's
the visor.
I wanted to go down below my nose to make it look like I'm a falcon. Like I am a falcon, cyclopstic falcon.
His doesn't bother me as much.
They keep the things like the rays in his eyes. They have him shooting out of his nose now too.
Yeah,
well,
they might.
It's just for the party. It was like a fashion thing, but it's really weird for him. But not Magneto. Professor X's bothers me more because he's like check it out. I'm all blinged out. I've like white and gold, like I'm some kind of like rap star or something.
I don't know.
He'll-
Cyclops
he'll-
to me looks like he was like, oh, this wasn't a masquerade ball. Shit.
Mhm.
He looks like the maker from the Venom series, Professor X.
Oh yeah, with the helmet on. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
that's my second book.
So, all right, let's go to Ron's book.
Yay. All right. Well, I picked Cable, issue 11. I've been reading this. So I picked it up because originally, because I really like Cable, but I'm like, okay, well, let's see what Kid Cable's all about. And I thought it was a good, getting back into. Tim will tell you I read a lot of DC, mostly DC stuff, and so I thought, well, if I'm going to get back into some Marvel stuff, I'm going to choose a cool character like Cable. And I think I got even more than I expected because it's Kid Cable, and there's so much more they can do other than what they did, with Cable. But basically, the storyline all along, with some veering off, has been that there's been these mutant babies that have been kidnapped. And so Kid Cable's on the case trying to figure out who it is. And now he goes a little off for 10 of Swords, and that takes him away from it for a little while. But the two issues in 10 of Swords, just to not talk about this real quick, were awesome to show his relationship with his mom and dad, with Scott Summers and Jean Grey, the whole thing, because and also to show the difference between Old Man Cable, which I show here, and Kid Cable. The difference is that Kid Cable is always, he's not secure. He's a kid. And so that's what I think makes this storyline has been really interesting, is because, and I guess it happens with any of the superheroes, that it's the teens, you have them making mistakes and being insecure, and it adds to the conflict in the story, not just conflict in battle, but in the internal conflict because of the being upset that they made a mistake, or that mistake causing a bigger problem. So this whole thing went to where, okay, well, he finds out that Strife is actually behind the kidnappings, in one of his visions, and he realizes maybe I can't handle it. He had thought he had already gotten rid of Strife. So it's, well, we got to get the old man back, because in, what was it, Extermination, he kills,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, I bet everybody knows this, he killed Old Man Cable, so he's dead. But in all the other issues, they kept showing a couple pages at the end with Old Man Cable somewhere doing something. So you knew he was coming back. Well, this issue, Cyclops doesn't want him resurrected. He wants Kid Cable to be Cable, and just he's the future. But Jean and Professor X says, no, we're bringing him back. And I showed these next two pictures because one of the things I really like about this issue, and even the past issues, is the family stuff that they do in this. It's kind of this is a great shot of Old Man Cable and Hope the first time after he's resurrected. And then the next one is Scott and Jean saying, Kid Cable's getting the team back together. Deadpool's in this, and a bunch of the X-Force characters, and they all come back. He's getting them back together, and he's bringing back Old Man Cable. And now what's going to happen? Well, the kid's growing up too fast, and so they do all this family stuff. So I've really loved the whole series, and this one in particular, because they show those relationships with the there's actually, in an earlier issue, there's a family dinner that Cable leaves early because he's going to go find these mutant babies. But I think the story has been so great because it's not, I mean, there is all the big guns and the big swords and the stuff that Cable's all about, but because it's Kid Cable, you get to see more of the family. You get to see his relationship with his parents. You also get to see his Esme as his, girlfriend, and that is so cool to see in that. Like I love the one cover where they're sharing a milkshake, and so a lot of it's that. I mean, I loved Cable because he was a badass, military guy, and I always liked that. In this, he still has those powers and he has some of that stuff, but it's the sensitivity, it's the family, it's seeing him build these relationships. It's been really cool, and art and the color and everything is great too. But the storyline for that, because it's kid Cable and not old man Cable, I think it's been really really great. So I'm glad I jumped on, and I've really enjoyed this series so far.
I think the
Can
thing
anyone
that's
explain
cool,
to me why he has Cloud's sword though? That's all I want to know.
they did a big thing that was called 10 of Swords, where it was a contest and everybody had to find a sword. There were certain people they had been prophesized to be in this tournament, and he ends up stealing this sword from this race of space aliens.
No, he didn't steal it. It was in the foot of that was the cool. It was the first issue, and it was great. It was one of the mutant kids was out where he wasn't supposed to be, so Cable was going to get him, and there was this giant lion beastie looking thing, and it had the sword stuck in his foot, and it was the fable where you pull the thorn out of the lion's
the mouse
paw.
and the lion. Yeah.
And Cable pulls the sword out of this beast thing, and it was the race of
but then they came to get it back, right? That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. And then he shoos him away. And then actually in this issue, the knight, well, I don't know if I'm not allowed to give away, but the knight shows up, but he's like in 4 panels and they keep telling him, oh, we're too busy. Just go hang out for a while. We'll talk to you later. It's great. The Deadpool stuff and the stuff with the knight are really cool. Anyways, go ahead, Tim.
I was just going to say, the thing that I think is cool and I'm excited to see is they have all these protocols for resurrection. And a lot of them are stemmed around clones, which is one of the reasons why, like, Gabby is like, will they even resurrect her? Because she's a clone of X-23, who's a clone of Wolverine. And they have different protocols. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because they've got this young man Cable who came to it would be his future to send the past X-Men back to the past. But then because they were screwing up everything, but then he stays here. And now the old man Cable that he killed is reborn. And you've got both of them in the same timeline. And it's kind of looking like
it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah.
And Tim, for whatever reason, I get sucked into things with time travel and clones, which are the two most difficult things. Well, I mean, I think writers think, time travel and clone is easy for me because I can do whatever because there's no rules. But for me, there's got to be rules, and I'm so confused at times. But I get sucked into it. Flash even watching that stupid show Legends of Tomorrow, I watch the stupid thing and I get mad every time because they bust up the timeline constantly, and it's just so I got sucked into another. I'm going to be so confused because there was an issue where there was all kinds of Cable clones and
there was like a million stripes. Remember, he was fighting. There was like 30 stripes that he was. It's like
that's a lot of strife.
All so confusing, but it's been fun. It's a really fun title right now.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. We're going to Carl's book.
Yay.
Demon Days.
So this is the second
cool
Demon Days. First one was like 3 months ago, I think it came out. You're either a fan of Peach Momoko's art style or you're not. I think she does really well in certain things, but I think this book is kind of made for her art style. It just every page, like I could have sent you a picture of every page and been like, this is phenomenal. But so I sent you just a couple.
That's awesome.
The story starts out. Yeah, the story starts out. She's basically having flashbacks in to when she was a kid, and then I don't know if it's like a dream sequence or like a flashback. So so she basically has like these rage fits where she got into a fight with a kid at school because he cut her hair, and she's, her grandmother's like trying to explain to her why she's so angry. Like I said, I only gave you 3 pages. One's like the beginning, the cover, one's the middle, one's the end. So what happens is essentially she finds out that Mariko finds out she's part Oni, so that her grandmother is not her real grandmother. And that so if you go back to that second one, John, real quick.
Oh yeah, 1 second.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah. So the Black Widow character, the girl with the red hair, is clearly Black Widow. Has been like undercover watching her for this gang of other people who steal Oni's blood and drink it or take their powers. And this is one of the henchmen. I can't remember the name.
Is that Nightcrawler?
It is Nightcrawler. For a second, I thought it was Mr. Sinister. Yeah, because of the way she has like the cloth that hangs down from her cloak. But then I went back and read it again, and I saw the BAMF, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely Nightcrawler. That's
could be Nocturne.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think, and then I read something that Peach Momoko actually said that it was supposed to be Nightcrawler. But so anyway, they're trying to wake up Mariko's memories. So apparently she's probably, I'm guessing the Oni are the mutants in this world, but I'm not really sure.
I think the Oni are they're like monsters.
Well, there's the yokai that was like the Hulk in the first one, right? And then the Oni was like Venom.
Oh, that's right. The Oni were the ones that were like protected the village from the yokai, I think.
Yeah. So
I feel like I'm listening to you guys talk about Wayward, because the Oni were the villains in that too. Anyway, continue.
Yeah.
It's probably, and I don't know a lot about like Japanese folklore and stuff, but I would imagine she's drawing fairly heavily from that, and a lot of the things are similar. So essentially what happens is this character comes and takes Black Widow. I guess she takes Black Widow, or she kills him, and they go back to her, the boss, which is the next slide. And I don't know who this is. So if you guys with a little more experience
Moon Knight
in the world of,
that's a very good possibility.
Well,
that's got to be Moon Knight.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's
with
weird.
the bandages all over her arm and everything. I mean, that's
that looks.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Looks
like it. So, I mean, I like the book. I like the art a lot. It could be a double-sized book because there's story that it seems like it's light on. I don't know if it's just because it's the second issue or, but there's so much that it kind of I feel lost a little bit in the story because it doesn't really elaborate on any of the characters too much. But like I said, it's worth it. It's worth the read for the artwork. Like I said, she's hit or miss for me. Like certain things, she did the Carnage Black, White, and Blood cover that I didn't like at all. But her art style for this, I guess manga-y style comic is phenomenal. And I wouldn't actually mind seeing them do like a manga verse or something.
That would be pretty awesome if they did a Marvel manga verse. I remember they did those.
They had one.
They did a couple for a
while.
The
art was awful in that, though, right?
Yeah.
So if they could, I think that's part of the thing. That's what sells this for me. Like, I'm not a huge X-Men guy. I mean, Spider-Man's my guy. So, but just seeing the first cover and looking at the art in this one made me want to pick it up again. So
cool. I'm kind of with you. Like I'm hit or miss on Peach Momoko as well. Like I thought these books did really well for her because it got you expanded. But when she just does a cover, I don't really like it. I like a full thing, and I feel that when she's doing the interiors, she puts more time into the the cover as well.
Yeah, because she did
Yeah.
everything in this, right? She was the inker, all of it. So, and maybe that helps to tell her visual story a little bit better too when she's got full control of it. So
I think
it's
probably,
got like a cool. Go ahead, Ron.
I just said it probably does. I mean, I love some of these creators now that are doing everything. Like what's his name, Shalvey, that does.
Declan, yeah.
Declan Shalvey, that does all his own stuff, and it sometimes looks so much better. I was remember the panel, the Christopher Priest panel that you put me on, and he I got to listen to him talk, and one of the things he said is he had when he was doing Deathstroke, there was a point when they revealed Deathstroke's daughter Rose. Is that right? No.
Yeah, Rose.
Yeah, Ravager. Yep.
And she's supposed to be on the last panel, and the whole point is to have this girl with silver hair, and the colorist was somebody different and she didn't have silver hair. And he didn't know that until he opened the book and he went, oh crap. But these guys that have all the control, it just seems like it's so much better. Like I love, when Shalvey does all his own stuff, which I'm looking forward to. Did he do a thing in the Green Arrow?
You know what? Hold on, let me flip real quick.
I think. Oh no, forget it. It's the Chip got me the Wolverine. Black, White, and Blood.
Oh, Black, White, and Blood.
Oh yeah, he did that. Yeah.
And I'm starting that tonight. So yeah, that's the one it was. No, he didn't do anything in the Green Arrow. Sorry.
He has one. He has one coming up too in Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood.
Oh yeah.
They're doing a Deadpool one, and he's got a story that he did in issue number 2, I think. And then I think he has a story that he wrote in the Black, White, and Blood for Carnage number 4. But I don't think he did the art.
Yeah. Yeah, when he does it all, it's just great. It's because it's definitely all together. So that's what just speaking to Carl's point on, when they do it all together, it just seems so much better.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you, Carl. Just last thing, I think a Mangaverse with her like overseeing that would be fantastic.
Yeah, it has to be done right. I mean, like I look back at some of the Mangaverse before, and it was. Yeah, it might have been like a money grab or trying to.
Exactly.
For as popular as manga's really popular now, it's probably like at its peak. So,
all right. Well, I have one small part of a book to talk about, and then we're gonna keep moving. So this is the Green Arrow 80th anniversary, which happy 80th to Green Arrow. You're as old as my dad. That's awesome. So I got the Jen Bartel cover. That's why I showed this one. But I'm not going to talk about the whole book. I'm only specifically going to talk about the very last story.
Okay.
So the very last story is the life of Denny O'Neil. And there's a little bit of a like a setup story, like an opener kind of story by Dave Wingos or Wilgos, and it kind of talks about how Larry O'Neil, who's Denny's son, wrote the story, and it's like only like 4 pages long, but it's Denny O'Neil's entire life story in like 4 pages. And Denny really was the guy that changed the game for Green Arrow. When it was Green Arrow, Green Lantern, or Green Lantern, Green Arrow, he really, like, he and Neil Adams really changed that whole dynamic at that point. For Ollie as we know him now, like, you would not have the stories that like Jeff Lemire did and anybody else really that came after Denny without Denny O'Neil. And I did have the pleasure of meeting Denny about a year before he passed away. He was one of the sweetest guys ever. And I just want to make sure everybody checks that. You should buy this book anyway, but if you want to get a little sneak peek into what the world of Denny O'Neil was like, it's very, very good. So, but every creative team on here has somebody that has worked with it like Mariko Tamaki, who's I think doing it currently, right? Tom Taylor with Nicola Scott, Stephanie Phillips, Mike Grell. He did a story in here. Ram V, Brandon Thomas, Devin Grayson, Phil Hester, Vita Alala or Ayala. I can never say that right. Ben Percy with Otto Schmidt, and then Jeff Lemire, and then Larry O'Neill. Like I said, it's really, really good. Make sure you guys check it out.
I'm disappointed there's no Scott McDaniel art though.
I was a little sad too.
Very sad.
I was hoping for at least a cover, but
I thought maybe you'd get a cover because there was something, his stuff was real unique, and that's, when we talk about my comics thing, that's part of what got me into back into Green Arrow, was reading him because of the covers that he drew. And so I was kind of hoping he would do a cover, but yeah, oh well.
Well, if you look at the Bartel cover, it's actually based on Scott's design, because I have a Scott sketch of Green Arrow on my wall right above me, and I'm like, oh, it's the same exact cover. So that's,
well, I have a Green Arrow sketch of Scott on my wall, so figure that one out.
Hey,
that's something. Wow.
They sketch it with a big ass
Tim
arrow.
is in the middle of it.
It's got a pencil tipped arrow.
Tim, you're in the middle of so many multiverses. That's why you have that.
See, now I want to buy Scott a green tipped arrow shaped pencil as a gift.
There you
and
go.
Just be like, here you go, buddy. This is just kind of funny. Do with it as you will.
That's right.
But all right, cool. So now it is time for Ferd Fest.
Oh, that's right, Ferd Fest.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. We're putting Loki way at the end for people who.
I know. I forgot. I totally forgot about this.
Oh yeah, we gotta do Loki.
You forgot about FanFest? What the hell? Come on, man.
Like, what the hell are these people even on here for? Oh yeah, that's right.
Who are these guys? Oh, so all right. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start out with your origin story. Ron, you can go first. Then Carl. Take a few minutes, just kind of tell everybody like who you are, how you got into comics. If you want to tell people what you do, that's cool too. Some of your favorite characters that kind of made marks in your life as you grew up. Take a couple minutes and go to town.
And that was randomly drawn. That doesn't signify that Ron is fan 1 and Carl's fan 2. We just randomly
on my screen. On my
There's
screen,
no
Ron is on my top left, and Carl is on my bottom right. So I'm doing it the way I would read.
Well,
sorry.
I was officially
save the best for last. I'm fully on board.
You're just gonna have to bump up your game. Be like, oh, I can beef this up a bit.
I think I was logged on to this. I think I was logged
That's
into the Zoom call at like 5:15 too. So I think that's probably why I get to be first. So anyways, my name is Ron. I've been a New Dimension comic customer for a long time, since probably around when they moved into Century 3. But yeah, my comic book collecting story is more about getting into them from television shows and movies. I actually wasn't a big comic book collector because it was really hard for me when I was young. Where I lived, there was no comic book stores. But I did get into the characters from TV shows. So like Batman was my first one because of Adam West. And then I went from Batman to Spider-Man because of the Electric Company. The Electric Company used to do that Spider-Man bit all the time, which was amazing. It was awful and amazing at the same time. So I actually was really into Spider-Man when I started seeing the Spider-Man comic books in the grocery store. So I grabbed one, and how I started collecting was actually, and I think I told Tim this before, is you read those and they always have those little asterisks and say, as seen in, issue number 215 or whatever. So I'm like, well, I got to get that now too, don't I? And so in the back of the books, always there was a Mile High Comics ad, and you'd have to cut out the thing and mail it to them to order your comic books from them. So I'd read a bunch of comics and come up with the issues that I wanted, and I would mail that with a check to Mile High Comic, and then I'd get them in the mail back because I couldn't go online. This was before you could go online and get them at eBay or go to milehighcomic.com or whatever and get it. And I didn't have a comic book store near me to go find these in back issues. So that's how I started collecting. So I got a little bit of a collection. Then I went to college and I stopped. So, I'd grab one maybe at a flea market or something, but then New Dimension opened in Century 3, and I walked in and I'd buy stuff every once in a while. And they'd always have the flyer in the front, they'll become a subscriber and save 10% or whatever it was, And that was paper too, where you had to write the ones you wanted and hand it in, and they'd pull them and put them in the thing. I didn't want to do that because I think you had to do 10 to get the discount. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to read 10 books. Forget it. But then I walked in one day, and I don't know who it was, John. I don't remember who it was yet. You were probably working there, but I walked up to the counter and I said, get me a book that'll get me back into collecting. And somebody said, here, read this graphic novel. And it was Identity Crisis. And I said,
that was Pat. It had to have been Pat. That's the exact thing he did to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The exact thing. Go and I'll tell you about it afterward. That had to have been Pat.
If it was post Pat, then it would have been Chris Lemke. Like, that would have been it. Those would have been your options.
I don't remember
Chris
anybody's
Stoner.
name, but
might have been Chris Stoner too. So,
well, they hand me this. They say, okay, read this, and you're going to get back into. And sure enough, I did, and I signed up for my subscription, and I was a subscriber from then. So that's my backstory. I don't know if we're going to go into what the current stuff is now, or if I should hit that now, because, well, let me do it now. So the one thing I do want to say is I think I was a pretty good customer before the pandemic started. I'd be in and and it was all fine, but I got really worried because New Dimension became a place I really liked going to because everybody was always so great and welcoming and made you feel like you're supposed to be there. So collecting comics is one thing, and I love reading them and I love the art. But it felt like a place you had to be. Then when everything shut down, I'm reading articles about figure out how to look, to support your local comic book store because this could close them. Now I know New Dimension's big, but I was still scared. So I called.
Not gonna lie.
Okay, and I didn't know if I should be or I shouldn't be, but I was, because I wanted it to be a place once everything opened back up that I could still go back. So I actually called the store and I talked to Chip and I said, I know I can't get the new books because they're not putting them out. I said, I want to spend X amount of money. Just go back and pull me those. You guys have the ones where it's like it's so many comics put together. That's a storyline or whatever. I said,
like a set. Mm-hmm.
A set, yeah. So just grab me a bunch. I don't care what it is. Put it in a box. I'll pay you with a credit card over the phone, and I'm going to pick it up at the curb when you're there. And that started this crazy last year. That's been I have them over here. I'm not going to show them because my wife wouldn't let me show the mess in the room. But I have boxes of comics that I bought just this past year, 15 months or whatever, because of Chip, because of Tim doing the live auctions, and me wanting to keep the store together. Because it was, I think it also got me through the pandemic because I was stressed. I told Chip a bunch how stressed out I was over this whole thing. But the comics and collecting them and now having an amazing, thanks a lot to Tim, having a really now amazing collection of tons of comic books kept me going and kept me less stressed and helped me survive the pandemic by collecting these books and being part of NDC. So that's part of the reason I tried to get Tim to let me on here so I could say how much New Dimension means to me and how much collecting comics got me through.
Thanks, Ron.
This stuff. Yeah. So that's my story.
You make me cry.
Well, I got a little bit
bad
teared
when
up there
I tell
too,
you guys
so.
I hate Tim.
That's all right. You can get in line. It's all right.
A lot of people do. So it's okay.
No. Thank you for
No,
all
that's
those
awesome.
kind words. That was really good. Yeah, I mean, like anything, like any business, we were kind of like, we don't know what the future holds for a while there. But
Okay.
but guys like you came out of the woodwork and really helped us float, and we would not be still around without guys like you. So thank you for that, Ron. That was really
I
awesome
can
of you.
confirm that he read that he got a lot of stuff.
I have a bunch of crap. I have not 7 short boxes full and 1 long box full now. Oh no, 2 long boxes full of stuff that I bought in the last 15 months.
There's a lot of DC
awesome.
stuff that he had at first, but he would say to me, like, I don't know Marvel that much. Give me something Marvel. And then I would point him to something Marvel, and he'd be like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is awesome. So I feel like, yeah, I think I've turned him towards Marvel. I don't think it's taken over his likes. I think he's still a DC guy and always will be, but I think he's turned into a Marvel guy. So.
Well, I actually started Marvel. I was Spider-Man, Wolverine, and then I went back to Batman and Green Arrow.
Well, then I'm a liar, I guess. I don't.
No. You're right. No. It was years ago, way before you. I still had a lot of hair when I was liking Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Oh,
too,
so
that's why
DC's continuity totally ruined your life and made you go bald?
Yes, it has.
DC has continuity?
What? All right, Carl, your turn. What is your origin story, sir?
So my origin story is very broken up. So I started collecting in like middle school. I started collecting comic cards just because it was like the popular thing to do. It's like the early 90s. All my friends in middle school had them. So I started there, and then I started going to like, there was a small shop down the road from where I lived called Sluggers, and went in there. They had some comics on a rack, and before you know it, I bought my first Gambit #1, and it was so.
Did you get the gold embossed cover? Is that what you're talking about?
It was signed, freaking sealed. I never read the book. Like, I am a comic reader. I like collect a lot of things. I'm like, the collector, but instead of Infinity Stones, it was crappy 90s comics. So yeah. So I did that for a while, and then when I got to high school, I was like, yeah, I'm done with comics. So I gave all my comics to Tim, and that's kind of how, that comics and hockey is kind of how Tim and I became friends. That, and I beat him up in bus room.
Yeah, that's a true story. We got in a fight in bus room. Didn't even know each other.
So the whole time we're in high school, we're playing hockey together, and he's like, "You got to start reading this comic book. You got to read this comic." I'm like, "No, I'm done. I'm done collecting comics. I'm done doing that." And then, what was it? Civil War, I think, was the first thing he handed me. The first Civil War. He's like, "You got to read this. If this doesn't get you back into comics." So I read it. It was awesome, and especially the part where Peter Parker takes off the mask and is like, "Yeah, I'm Spider-Man."
Yeah.
That's just the best.
Yes.
So, but I didn't start buying comics until the Facebook auction. So, same kind of similar story as Ron.
Yay,
I'm a
Tim.
huge. Yeah. So it's all Tim. I mean, he deserves like a huge raise.
Yes.
Working on it.
I'm sorry, my earpiece went out.
He said I deserve a raise. I can tell you exactly what he said.
You guys should probably come off mute. I can't hear a thing.
No, I mean,
Kidding.
I bought a ton. I mean, in the year of the pandemic, I went from, 6 comics, having 6 individual comics that I had, to like, I think I have 5 short boxes or 5 long boxes and a couple short boxes right now. So, mostly all Marvel. I had DC back, like I had, I think everybody had the Death of Superman and the Breaking of Batman. I mean, that was a 90s thing too. So
yeah,
but yeah, like I said, Spider-Man's my guy, and it's more of an OCD thing. It's like, so okay, so I got Amazing Spider-Man number 361. Now I need all the rest of the Amazing Spider-Mans to complete the collection. So like I said, it's a collecting thing. I've probably read maybe 100 of them out of those short boxes. So I'm working on it, but I just am lazy, I guess. So yeah, that's it. That's the origin story.
That's awesome.
And so everybody knows when he did start collecting, because we would go to like New Dimensions, we would go up to Elwood, we would go to other comic shops to try and support other comic shops too, and do a little bit of business there. I took him to my storage locker, because I have a storage locker because I'm insane, and I collect every book that comes out. So I took him to storage locker and I was like, here's my Amazing Spider-Man. And we went through like all the Spider-Mans, and whatever he could remember that he gave me, I gave it back.
Yeah, I still never got that Amazing Spider-Man 300 back from you. What the hell, man?
If that was in there, I would have shit myself, and you would have knocked it. You would have never got it back.
Like I said, they were all crappy nice. I bought comics based off of a shiny foil cover. I was like, like the
it worked.
What's the bird that collects shiny things and puts it in its nest? That was me. Like Ravage 2099. Oh, it's a gold foil cover. I think I'll get that.
Yeah.
I had no rhyme or reason to it other than it had a hologram on the cover or
Wildcats.
I have them. I have it with the Wildcats 4. I got it out of the dollar bin just because I'm like, okay, I just want this. I don't know. It's not worth anything, but I'm got it. I think I actually have.
Was it the gold foil one?
Oh no, the silver one. I think.
The silver one. Okay.
So
because the gold foil one
was like worth a lot there for a while, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there is there's a Valiant book. It was I think it was a Quantum and Woody they did like 5 years ago. It was like the super crazy ultimate variant cover, and it had like gold leafing from multiple old rolls of actual gold leafing used for stuff. The Wildcats like stuff on it. Cool. It was embossed. It was hand numbered. It had a sketch on it somewhere. Like, and every single one was 100% individualized, and there were only like 1,000 made. It was crazy. But you guys should look into that, because it's crazy. Like just how many different kinds of embossing they put on the foil and the hologram. Like, and it's because they basically found all these old rolls of stuff that were used on comics from the 90s for other companies in the publishing house or the print house that they were using. And they were like, can we just use this stuff?
Yeah.
So it worked out. It was kind of cool.
Good to recycle.
I think that was, what's that?
It's good to recycle that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
I think that was the last couple months at the mall when that had just come out, that Quantum and Woody. But I could, from both guys, it does, and I know from Carl just from being friends with him, and then Ron said it. I think the movies and TV shows have really helped out a lot, because you watch the movies and you might want to know the story, but then there's like odd characters that just pop up, and you're like, what's the deal with that person? And they don't really expand on it, but then you want to go and find out. So you grab that issue, and then it kind of takes you down a rabbit hole. I think I
really think, I mean, it's funny because I know most of my stuff from like the Marvel movies and things like that, and the X-Men TV shows and things like that I watch, but the comic collecting started based on, I love these characters because I saw them on TV when I was a kid, though, even before the Marvel movies and before the great cartoons and stuff. Well, there was the Spider-Man cartoon in the that was the mid 80s, wasn't it? I think
90s.
Well, there was the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends was like that one.
That was like
that one?
70s.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. And then
that was good. That was with Iceman and
Firestar.
Firestar. Yeah.
and then even Super Friends. And even like the Super Friends, from when I was a kid, got me into like it's Superman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman. I mean, even Aquaman, who, how can anybody really like Aquaman? But I did because of the Super Friends on the TV show, and so that got me starting collecting. But I quit, and I think the movies brought me back into it, but also just the fact that comic book store where I was at all the time, because I was in Century 3 a lot when it was actually a mall. And I said, well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to look around. And that brought me in. But one of the things I heard Carl say was, about reading. And one of my things is I'm collecting, but my collection's not going to be worth anything because the stuff I'm grabbing is a lot of it's either dollar bins or stuff. It's not anything that's going to be worth anything, but I'm collecting it because at some point, and it'll be hopefully before I die, not this month, I'm going to read all that stuff too. So I'm really excited about reading that. Tim helped me finish out that run of Excalibur by getting 125, and I had a couple of them, and then he put one on a dollar auction, number 75. And I came into the store and there was a bunch in the back issue. And I'm like, I'm going to get all 125 of these. And now I'm going to read it. And I just got that a few weeks ago. So I want to start reading that. And I did the Green Arrow to the second volume of that. I started getting it. And I don't have all those. I like 20 more. But once I get that, I want to read all those. And so I don't care if they're, dollar books and they're not worth anything. To me, they're worth a ton of money. One of the things I collected in the 80s was the Millennium crossover. And so it's taken me almost 30 years to get them all. I actually just got them all. And I almost cried the day I got them all. And they're not all great quality, but I have every single one of that crossover series, which I don't know if it's any good, but I had like 6 of them and they're like 30 of them or whatever. I have them all now and I can't wait to sit down and now read that whole series. So I collected it I'll never, if I sell that back to you guys, you'll give me $1.50 for all 30 of them, but I'm gonna get to read them. And so that's kind of so exciting. When I got that last one, it was like, so anyways,
$1.70 for number one fan.
I guess I'm 1A, you're 1B, Carl. That's how
no, it's you're 1A. Definitely one. I'm 2. I don't even want to be a B. I can't hold a candle. You're on.
I tell people all the time too. They'll come in. They'll be like, "Hey, I want to start collecting. What's got like what's a good book that's gonna maybe be worth something?" And I'm like, "Worth something? How?" I said, "I buy things based off of what they're worth to me."
Yes.
Nobody gave a shit the last few years about Ultimate Spider-Man. It's one of my favorite series ever. And I'd find them in the dollar bins, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to buy them. I don't care if I have doubles or
I got
triples.
almost my whole Ultimate Spider-Man run from the dollar bin.
Yeah,
and
then when there was,
I'm going to sit down and read it as soon as I get them all. And like Ron said, just get them all together and just go to town.
Yeah. And as soon as there was rumors in the Donny Cates Venom run with Maker, and then that Venom suit coming over, all of a sudden people were buying Ultimate Spider-Man left and right. And I'm like, it's so funny to see how that works, because I think people just should buy books based off of what it means to them, not what it means to their bank account, because you're going to be long gone by the time. Yeah.
Especially if you're
buying. It helps to have that. Go ahead, Ron. Sorry.
Especially if you're buying anything new. I mean, how's this stuff that's new? Unless it's a brand new character that all of a sudden blows up. I know everybody ran out and bought Joker's new girlfriend. I already forgot her name.
Punchline. Yeah.
Punchline. They went out and got that. I didn't even go out and get Punchline 1 or the first. I think I have the first appearance of it in something I was reading. But unless she blows up, how does that mean anything? But everybody had to have Punchline number 1 because it's going to be worth $1 million someday. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You need to buy what makes you feel good. And like I said,
speaks to you.
And I've got all these comic books now that aren't worth anything, that are worth $1 million to me. And I think that's what keeps me coming back to the store, that and, the guys and stuff, but it keeps coming back to the store because I'm going to find comic books that mean a bunch to me. And that's why I like buying them and collecting.
Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah.
Do
we
have to talk about
what I, no, I mean,
we have to talk about Loki at some point, right?
We will.
Sorry.
But that's a lot of the stuff I tell people too. Like they'll ask, and I say the same thing as Tim does. Like what kind of value are you looking at? Are you looking at value to you and enjoyment, or are you looking at like an investment? Because then once we start showing them the investment books, they're like, "Oh, I don't have that kind of money," and I'm like, "Well, then, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, Like, here's some stuff that I find fun. Like, if you want to just
Yeah.
read and enjoy it, go for it. If you want to dollar dive for a couple hours and, find some stuff that might entertain you, and then if you like it, come back and buy more. Cool. Like, here's our graphic novel section. By the way, you can buy it all online. Like, super easy. It's just a matter of, like what their personal preference is. But, if you're going to buy something for an investment purpose, like you're probably not going to, like, you're going to be
such a
waiting
bad
a
idea.
while. Yeah.
It's such a bad idea because it's such a crapshoot. I mean, unless it's something that already is worth $1 million, but you don't have $1 million. If you want to buy a book for $3 that's gonna become $1 million, how do you know? There's no way you're gonna know.
Yeah. My luck, I would buy Amazing Spider-Man #1 and it would be in the dollar bins tomorrow. I mean, if you look at my Bitcoin wallet lately, it's just, I'm bad at investments, so I might as well buy them to read them for my enjoyment rather than try to make money on them.
Comic books are art. Comic books are art. Comic books are entertainment. Why do they have to be? And I understand the investment part of it, and I understand that stuff that people do, but that's for the rich. It's not for. It's not really for us, is it? I mean,
it's not for me.
It's kind of like with all the thing that's weird is, like, if you think about it, like, streaming services kind of ruined that idea in media, right? So before it'd be like, oh, I'm going to go out and buy all these Blu-rays and DVDs of things I love. And some people still do. Like, I still do, just because I like to have that option. And it comes with a bunch of cool features.
Yeah.
But streaming services kind of make it like the dollar bin, right? It's like, I paid this money. I might as well watch some shit and see if I like it, So, a dollar bin is kind of digging, like, and trying to find some cool stuff you like. And then if you like it, you might go back and binge watch or binge read, like, whatever. So it's kind of that mentality of that kind of thing that people are just kind of looking for. They're looking for bang for their buck, but they're also looking for investment, and it's weird. But that's why I like you guys, because you're not super investy guys.
Well, and I'll give you an example of like how I do it sometimes. So my main thing is X-Men, right? If it's X-Men, that's what I want. When I die, I want to have as many as the X-Men books as I can.
I'll be right back. Tim, you're in charge for a few minutes.
Okay, I'm in charge. So now I'm getting a raise, and here's how this works. So I'm getting the finger wave. He's saying $1 million.
1 million. That's what that means.
Yeah, but so what I do is I read everything. I buy almost every book that comes out from Marvel. I buy a good bit of DC books. And if something pops up and it's like, hey, that's worth $50, if it's not an X-Men book, I may move it. I may sell it, because that $50 can get me another X-Men book. Right. So we had just recently Hulk 181 came into the store.
Touched it. I was allowed to touch it, and I almost passed out. Because Chip hands it to me. I didn't know what it was, and I got, I almost passed out. It was bad.
So it came in. I'm like, guys, if we buy this collection, that's my book. I was like, I will figure out a way to pay for it. So for the last week, I've been going through like my collection, and anything that wasn't X-Men, I'm like, okay, can I move that? Can I move that? And I've been moving books, some for $5, some for $50, just trying to come up with some coin to get that, because that's an X-Men book that's going to be important to me. So that's the way I kind of approach collecting. I buy everything, but if something turns into a couple bucks that can help me get another X-Men book, then I'll sell it. But I don't go like gung ho. We get people that come in, they'll shop the dollar bins, and they're specifically shopping based off of several apps that tell them what to do. And buying whatever they can to try and flip it. And it's a weird road, because you go down that hole and then you stop caring about the books. You stop caring about the stories, the artists, and all those things. And you're just caring about how much money you can make. And that's not what they're made for.
Yeah, Tim, they're not buying it for story or for art. If you're buying it because you're gonna turn it around and make some money off of it, you're not buying it. They're not even gonna read it. They're not gonna open it and go through and read that book, because if you read that book, then the value drops.
Yeah, and I'll hear people. Some people will collect based off of covers. They won't even read the books. They just like the covers. We have a guy, Josh Williams. He has his own Facebook. It's called JFK's Way. Really cool guy. he comes in, but he doesn't really read them. He's a Venom guy, but everything that he buys is pretty much based off of the artwork.
Mhm.
And some people will knock people for that, and I don't see a problem with that. If you like
Nope.
it for that reason, then you like it for that reason. The art can speak to you just as much as the story can. So, there's a
I've
way to
picked-
collect for everybody.
I picked a ton of stuff off the shelves there just because I walked by and went, oh, that's a cool cover. And I just grab it, take it up to the front. I like it. And I put it on my sub, and so,
Yep.
yeah, no, that happens. All right. Do
I
we
heard
have to?
everything you guys said. Tim, you are not getting $1 million raise.
Yeah.
Damn it!
$2 million.
What?
$2 million.
What? 1 million of 1 millionth of a cent. Yes, 1 million of 1 millionth of a cent. Maybe.
Carry the 5, and then
Ching,
Okay.
ching, ching, ching. But
that's a lot of money.
no, it's cool. Like I thought I actually didn't know that Tim put that Hulk in his box. By the way, when we say pull box for you guys, it's like, maybe an inch worth of shit in a week, maybe 2 weeks. Tim literally has a short box.
Yeah, and I told Chip because I felt bad because I've been off. So I'm like, oh, I'm behind on I've got some bills that I have to pay because I haven't worked for the last basically a month. And then before that, I was only doing 3 days. So I told him, I was like, don't worry, I'm working on it. I'm going to get that stuff out of there. I promise you, you're not going to be stuck with these things. I'm going to buy them. So he's been really cool. So thanks for not killing me.
Slide
Oh,
that Hulk over to
speaking
my
of
box
which-
if you want.
Speaking of which, I found some more stuff for you to work at home. It's on a pallet in the back. So,
There you go.
Okay.
so I can see helping you out, buddy. Work
Yeah.
from home. So, all right. So, I mean, you guys kind of covered a lot of the stuff we were going to talk about anyway in these conversations. But I guess to me, I guess the other question I have is so what keeps you coming back to the shops that you're loyal to? Doesn't necessarily need to be our shop. I assume that it is only because you're on FanFest, but
2021.
And-
I have 3 other
and I
fan
guess,
fests scheduled after this, so we can wrap this up.
Yeah, he's got
3 more.
shit, I gotta go
FanFests.
do
More
Colin's
fans.
show next. I gotta but
got Arkham comic after this.
but I guess, and my other thing is how important is a good selection of supplies for comics collecting to you guys?
Huge.
Because
It is.
I
pretty
ask because we are going to be putting out, and I don't know if they're out yet. We're starting to carry this new line called Numa, long and short boxes. They also make a box for slabs.
They're
and
fantastic.
I'm not gonna shit you. I took a short box with a lid on it and nothing inside it, and I stood on it for a half hour, and it did not waver.
Oh, nice.
So just throwing that out there. You'll be able to look at them.
Yeah, that's
and
huge.
And if they're not ready, I probably will bust out a couple of them on Saturday when I'm at the waterfront. If anyone wants to come down and check them out, they are going to be a little more expensive. But the slab one holds, I think, 10 slabs, or it can hold D&D books if you're into D&D. But the long and short boxes are super, super heavy. They're like the premium BCW. They're better than the premium BCWs, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, so how important is that? And what keeps you coming back to the shop that you're loyal to? Those are my 2 questions. We'll let Carl go first this time.
Yay. So, so supplies are huge. There was a time when we couldn't get bags or boards, and it was immensely frustrating because I wanted to buy so many comic books, but I didn't want to not bag them and board them. So I kind of held off. So, and that's one of those things just coming from a business background that, you kind of, it needs to be there for the investment purposes. And, sometimes it's hard to get those things, especially during the pandemic, because it was the pop culture up the road from me. It was Pittsburgh Comics. I think nobody had bags and boards. So it was, but
Nobody had.
like I said, it's one of those things, and good quality ones too, because I don't know if Tim has had the conversation with you about my OCD with the bag size and the board size matching one another. When the boards are too short or they're too narrow, like I got a set of current boards, but they weren't current size. They were like a quarter inch shorter, and I gave them all to Tim. I'm like, here's some boards. So, but what keeps me coming back is the people. I mean, so I mostly go to New Dimension and Pop Culture, which is right up the road from me. So
which one of the Pop Cultures?
It's on McNeely. It's in
okay.
South Hills.
Tony's right.
Yeah.
He's the manager.
Yeah.
I know him.
He's
great
part
guys.
of the reason I keep going back there, because he's an awesome guy. We talked. I had a half an hour, 45-minute conversation about pressing comics where he showed me all of his setup and what he does, and it was pretty cool. So, and then
have you ever met Ken, like the other guy that owns that place?
Is he
at the one that's from up north?
Yeah, it's on Mount Royal. He's got like a giant beard, and like he's like the super nicest dude I've ever met. Like he's so freaking nice, and they carry a lot of cool. If you're into like loose vintage toys, like we carry at the
they have a lot of
Yeah.
toys.
Yeah, they are awesome with that stuff. So
Anyway,
sorry, I digress. Keep going.
No. I was almost done, and what keeps me coming back to you guys is the selection. I mean, especially the waterfront, and that's probably the closest one to me. You guys have a huge selection of dollar books. Like I said, the dollar books got me in the door, got me looking, got my collection, and then I just kind of steamrolled or avalanched from there, where I was buying back issues. I did was it 50 back issues, or what was it?
50-50.
Yeah, 50-50. That's
so
great.
I did that with a lot of Spider-Mans, and the Facebook auction. I can't tell you how much that got me back into it, just because I didn't, especially during the pandemic where you're like, I don't have to go anywhere. I could just be like, claim Amazing Spider-Man, 363. Yeah. And it goes in my box. And then when we get down there, I get down there. So that's been huge. So
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm going to echo the same kind of things. I mean, supplies for me isn't a big deal, because I want all my stuff bagged and boarded at some point, but I don't worry about it as much. I want to be able to get a selection. I want to be able to go in and see, what I want to find the things that I want. Like now I'm trying to finish West Coast Avengers and Alpha Flight and stuff. And so if I know they're in the dollar books and I can find them, that's exciting for me, to go and do that. But, I think in general, if a store looks good and it's clean and has a nice selection, you're going to keep going back in general. You want those things. But I think I probably would have stopped collecting and stopped shopping, just because my wife lost her job, and I just switched jobs and took a pay cut because I wanted to go to a better place. And so, I could cut, if I'm going to cut things out, it's going to be non-essential things like buying comic books, but I'm not going to stop because I want to go to NDC because of the people. And it really is that if you don't feel welcome at a place, you're not going to go back and shop there. I mean, you're going to let go of things. Now you're still going to go to Giant Eagle and shop because you have to get, or whatever grocery store you go to. You're still going to have to go to a grocery store because you have to eat. I don't have to buy comic books anymore. So if the guys that are the counter don't say hi to me, if the guys that are pulling my book don't go, here's your books, Ron, thanks for shopping here today, Ron, and they don't say those things, I'm either going to just stop buying books or I'm going to go someplace else. But it's the people. It's Chip caring about keeping me going through the pandemic. It's Tim and Tim talking to me about books and educating me on important things in comics, and getting me excited about different characters and different stories and different writers and stuff like that. It's the people, and it's there's no doubt if you're not buying your stuff, unless you're a guy that's buying your stuff on eBay or online, if you're going into a store, it's the people that keep you coming back.
I can't say enough for just when I'm watching the Facebook auction, and Tim's like, oh, hey, it's Ron. He wants this. It's Carl. He likes these books. Yeah, right. Like it's Brandon. He knows everybody and he knows what books they like. I can't keep track of what books I like, let alone 28, 25 other people.
It's amazing.
So
listen, I'm not going to kid you, right? So our staff is very good at doing this for customers, but our staff is also very good at doing this for our own staff. So I'm not going to kid you when I tell you when a new box of pricey stuff comes in and Todd goes, here, split this out. I definitely sit there and go, what can I sell to the Tims? These. What can I sell to Bo over in Ohio? Anything that has to do with Thanos? Yep. That or Darkseid? Yep. Bo's going to get first crack at those. Like,
you just sent me that Uncanny X-Men with Storm and Dr. Doom on the cover.
Right.
For me.
Like Thor, like anything that's Thor or like Jack Kirby or Walt Simonson, it's going to the mills for Ryan. Like I'm just like, because like our staff are some of our biggest customers as well.
What you're saying is I need to get a job there. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's.
Well, we are looking for someone at the mills. I'm just saying.
You could have picked the farthest store from me, though.
Not really, man. Like if you're somewhere,
Ohio.
I was gonna say if you're somewhere near, if you're in between waterfront and pop culture, like you can't be too far. You have to be within an hour of the mills.
He's hired.
Butler.
He's hired.
I think when I went up to the mills, it took us about an hour to get there, but I did get a little lost. And
we had both never been there before.
I was gonna say Butler is probably your furthest drive.
Yeah.
Like,
and I've
that's
been to
another
that store
40
too.
minutes past mills.
Yeah. The only one I haven't been to myself is the Ohio store. I haven't been there yet.
It's nice.
So.
Tim, have you been to Butler since we moved it downtown?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Because my buddy Mike lives, I can't remember where his new house is that he bought, but he had an apartment in Butler right in downtown because they had that really cool brewery like on the corner that was across the street. And we went there and had it was like, hey, $2 for a glass with just bacon in it. And I'm like, yes, I'll have 3 glasses of bacon. They just put it in like standing straight up and down. And I'm like, this is brilliant. Like I would like a glass of soda and a glass of bacon, 2 glasses of bacon. Keep it coming.
That keeps my cardiologist in business right there.
Right.
That's right.
It's candied bacon too. Like it's not just regular bacon. It's like, so good. Yeah. I just found out that there's a cigar bar up the street from Butler. So I'm like, I may have to go there more often now. So, but anyway, thank you again. Thank you so much guys for all the kind words. Like it's really very humbling for both of us. Until you guys get off here and Tim starts actually jumping up and down on his one good foot and screaming how much he loves you guys.
No, he shouldn't do that.
He's only allowed to put 50% of his weight on that foot.
No, not till tomorrow's 50%. Right now it's only 25%.
Okay.
No jumping, Tim.
But seriously, thank you so much for the kind words, guys. And I know if any of the other guys from the other shops you guys mentioned listen to it, that's what it's going to be. And actually, that's some of the reasons why I go to other shops sometimes too. I live 2 minutes from Geekadrome. I don't get to go there a lot, but when I do, I sit there and talk to Paul for an hour and a half. And when I go to stop at Pittsburgh Comics on my way to Ohio sometimes, and I'll talk to Colin for 2 hours, and then I'll be like, shit, I got to get to work. But it is what it is. I stopped down at the Four Horsemen just opened a shop in Robinson, and I stopped out to see who the manager was going to be and introduce myself and congratulate him on opening a shop out there. And it was awesome. We're all in this big dumb nerd fraternity together. And
comics, it's a family.
It is. We really are. Comics, gaming, it's all one big thing. And toys, it's really crazy. So, all right. So now we need to talk about Shang-Chi and Loki real quick. I'm going to let Tim talk mostly about the Shang-Chi part. Because that's
the Shang-Chi I just wanted to bring up because Kevin Feige did confirm that that is Abomination and Wong. And I was so excited. I guess it's just a fight that's going to be happening, like an arena style fight. I love that Abomination is. They took the Abomination from the Ed Norton one, but then they kind of tweaked it to make it more comic accurate. So it's not totally different to make you think that it's like a reboot of that character. So
it's
I
like
don't
the
know,
same thing, just with like the bad ears, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, with the bad ears, and then a little bit more like webbed, like fingers and the spine and stuff. Yeah, so it just looks cooler. I was excited for this movie before that new trailer, and I'm really excited now if they're going to start, floating in little things like this in the background just for like, fun. So
right. Okay.
That was just something I wanted to bring up because there was a lot of people speculating on whether that really was Wong or not. So
right. All right. So now we're going to talk about Loki a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you have not watched it, this is your spoiler moment to mark how long we've been doing this and come back to it later once you've watched the episode. I watched it this morning because I woke up a little too late yesterday before I went to Ohio. And I will tell you, like, this show, this episode to me finally felt more. This is the more latter MCU vibe feel to it than any of the other stuff. The other 3 episodes I thought felt very phase 1. This one felt very phase 4 or 3, whatever the last one was. I think we're going into
3.
phase 4, right?
Yeah.
I loved the Sif scene because of the mythos of what that signifies and the mythos of Thor. That was beautiful. And I absolutely love Jamie Alexander, and she is one badass, and I love that she just kept kicking his ass.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where we finally get to see the timekeepers. Some stuff happens, and you realize that somebody else is going to be pulling the strings on these things. So here's my theory. I have one of 2 theories. One is that it's the Beyonder, because they've already mentioned the event that was Secret Wars, right? Because Secret Wars was the thing that set the timeline correct in the books. Makes sense. My other thought is maybe it will be Nathaniel Richards, so that it will, or Franklin Richards, so that it would then set up Fantastic Four, because Franklin would be able to do the things like fix time. Then I'll let Tim talk about the mid-credit scene, which is really good because it's the first time we got one of those too.
Yeah. My theory is that it is Kang. Is my theory. I did not know that this girl who kind of nixes Loki was I didn't realize that she was a character at all in the comics. But I guess she had first appeared in Avengers 23, hence the A-23 that was on her shirt, which was just another one of those little things that Marvel's so good at putting in there. You could watch these shows a million times and find something new every time. But my theory, and I think I talked about this last week, is it's kind of like a Wizard of Oz thing. The timekeepers, that's Oz, and behind the curtain is going to be Kang, I think.
Exactly what Stacy said when she saw that. She goes, "Oh, Wizard of Oz."
Yep. So that was kind of my thought. I saw a really bad review on IGN for this episode, and even the episode before didn't get a good review from them, and I don't understand why, because I think this whole series has been fantastic, and it's more on par with what we saw. I'm not saying it's as good as WandaVision, but it's more on par with what we got with WandaVision, with the mystery of everything, and that, I think, keeps me coming back and keeps me excited. So I'm not saying Falcon sucked, but I think we'd all have probably better things to say about Falcon if it happened before WandaVision, if that was like the first show.
I think it's clear with all 3 of the shows that definitely using these TV shows to set up the big next
Yeah.
right? So they're not going to like, and I think everybody's like, oh, I want the Kang, I want, you know, whatever the big bad guy is. I don't think you're going to get it. You're going to get a lot of hints to it. You're going to get a lot of, you know, associations, maybe some Easter eggs, but I think what they're doing now is kind of prepping everybody. So I think a lot of the bad reviews are probably people just like, I fully expected to see the big bad guy in this one, and you know, maybe they were let down or something. I don't know. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, me and Carl talked about it, and I said, when do they show Kang? We know Kang is in Quantumania, so does he make an appearance? And I told him, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they did like kind of the Thanos treatment that they did in the beginning, where it was like you just saw the back of his head on the chair or something, or maybe you see the shadow of Kang as somebody's talking to him. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like that in the end of this show. But it is also, while it's setting up that stuff, it is also about Loki, and there's going to be, they said it looks like there's going to be a second season. So
I have another random one to throw in there. What if instead of Kang, the way they spin this one to make it tie even more into some of the stuff that they've been kind of alluding to, what if it ends up being Iron Lad?
Oh, I mean, that would be fantastic. They already did, which we saw at the end of in the mid-credit scene. We saw Kid Loki, which we've been talking about since WandaVision, how they are just basically setting up all these young Avenger characters. I love Iron Lad. I've said it too many times. People are probably like, we get it, Tim. You like Young Avengers, you know, but it's fantastic. So
it is. It's a very good story. People should buy more of it. So
I guess I should buy it, huh?
You should.
You guys got a good comic book store I can get it at?
It's.
I don't know. We might be out.
I think you are, because I think I was looking for it when the last time.
Might be able to find you a trade, maybe.
Yeah, Alan Heinberg, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did TV before that. I think he wrote TV shows, and then he just comes out of nowhere and writes this fantastic 12-issue story, and then just fades off in the distance, just never to write it again, making me so sad. But yeah, I think that Iron Lad, it would be cool if we did get some semblance of Iron Lad. So,
all right. So do you want to talk about this screenshot that I need to?
Yeah, let's pull that screenshot.
Ready?
Up. Yep.
All right.
So this is the mid-credit scene. It's freaking awesome. Just to point out the arrow, somebody had pointed out that's Avengers Tower, which is like, is this a world where Loki did win that battle, and because he wasn't meant to rule it, just everything went to shit, or what is this place? But the old grandpa in the big underpants, Loki, more like in line with, like, you know, the first Avengers book. The freaking alligator.
Yeah.
Like who's the guy on the left? Is this a Loki, or is this a Thor? Is this another Heimdall? Like, I'm guessing that these are all Lokis, but he doesn't have the classic horns at all in any way. So I'm not sure who he is, but this is
I think that is a Loki. But I say
you would
I like
think
that he's like a gold
Lokis.
Mjolnir.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's made out of like parts, right? Like that looks like he's holding a piston.
It is.
Yeah.
From a
It
car.
is.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't the handle looks like a big wrench?
Post-apocalyptic Mjolnir.
Yeah.
He's the Wrecking Crew Loki.
Awesome.
So whatever's going on here has me just excited for next Wednesday. I hope that this is something that Marvel does. They show us something like that, and then they don't come back to it the next episode. It's like an episode later. So I'm really hoping that they get right into this next episode, since there's only 2 episodes left. But I think this whole series has been fantastic. I wasn't really sure about Sylvie when she first showed her face at the end of that episode at the Roxxon cart store. but I think she's been fantastic. And then watching them two play off of each other has been really good. And how about the reveal? Like, we're like, oh, this is the Enchantress. This is the Enchantress. And it's not. She talked about that she was a Loki in they came and snatched her and took her from her.
Yeah, but I think that
realm.
version of the Enchantress was a Loki.
It might have been, but it was still like I think maybe she becomes Enchantress, but I think she was originally a Loki.
Well, it's not the same Enchantress from the regular.
No, it's not
thing, but I'm pretty sure that whole story was that she was a Loki, and then became the Enchantress. That's so it's pretty much exactly what's going on here. So I think she's been killing it, man. Like
I was surprised because I didn't think originally I was like that casting, but it's been really good. She's been one of my favorite characters.
It just shows Marvel's they're on it, man. When it comes to casting, even when we're like, oh, I don't know about that character. That character, I wouldn't have picked Chris Evans to be Captain America. Now it's like, who else would you pick to be Captain America? You know what I mean? Like,
and then young She-Loki being from the Walking Dead, the actress from and she's like the best young badass actress in Hollywood ever, and for her to be on that show and then to get her to do that, I was like, yep, perfect.
So they really do. I feel like over DC, I hate to do the Marvel versus DC, but when I look at some of the decisions that DC, you're right, I don't.
You can't. First of all, you can't compare. What Marvel does with their movies and the casting and even the story it's just like it's the polar opposite with DC. They cast everything wrong. I mean, I mean, except for maybe Momoa. I mean, who have they gotten right in any of the movies?
I don't even think they got Jason Momoa right. So I'm not a big fan.
I'm okay with him.
I thought he was the closest to correct. So, well, I think Gal Gadot actually would be the only one they really got right, in my opinion.
I just think she's a terrible actress. I think she probably is like the most accurate, but I don't know if it's the acting or it's the writing, but her scenes are sometimes just painful to watch.
Awful. She's awful. Yeah. She's too short. She's too skinny. She's awful. She's not Wonder Woman. No.
What?
That's how you really feel, Ron.
Honestly, other than
Jason Momoa.
No, the other person that was really wrong is our current Batman. Why the heck can't I think of his name?
I think we can all agree that the most wrong was Flash.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, movie Flash. TV Flash was actually pretty good.
Absolutely. Yeah. TV Flash is phenomenal.
Oh, he's perfect.
Are you talking about the Ben Affleck part?
Or Ben Affleck. That's Robert,
the guy. Okay, I was gonna say Robert Patterson's technically gonna be our current Batman.
That's true. Yeah, he actually might be okay. I might be okay with him, but
not my Batman.
Affleck's terrible.
Yeah, that's all right.
I can't wait for it. You don't want to have a pale, sparkly Batman? I want a pale, sparkly Batman.
We're getting Michael Keaton back. That's all that matters.
Wait. Doesn't Ron have Twilight stuff up there? He's going to love this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think he's actually going to be pretty good. Like, I've seen him in a couple of things that were actually pretty good.
I think I'm giving him the short end of the stick because of Twilight stuff. I think he actually was in a few things that were actually really good. At least people.
I just have no faith in their writing.
That's my issue. Their cohesion is just. I mean, when you compare it directly to Marvel, it's just not there.
Right.
Go watch Lighthouse with him and William Dafoe, and you'll see how good of an actor Robert Pattinson is. It's just the Twilight movies, like you said, he's just kind of typecast now. It's like, the teen heartthrob kind of thing, which is, it is what it is. He has a weird face to me. There's something. It's very boxy, but skinny. I don't know.
Yeah, but like Christian Bale had he has like the really big dog teeth.
Yeah.
He has like the mouth of like a Rottweiler. Like his teeth are like really, really sharp and pointy, and he's kind of gross. And he was probably the one that hit the best stride
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah,
You
he
know?
did a good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, all right.
You're like 45 minutes over ever.
I know this.
Well, it's
This is like a
FanFest.
double size. It's
Fan
fan
Fest.
fest.
Fan
Fan
Fest.
fest.
Thanks everybody who
Fan fest.
stuck around and watched and listened to these guys boost our egos, because that's
Thanks for having us.
thank you.
That was part of it. So no, thank you guys. Really. Thank you guys for, not only, being amazing customers and super loyal, but, helping us out by watching the show every week. The more viewers we get, the more viewers we will eventually get more, and recommending it to people and just being all around awesome dudes.
And if I could say something, if you want to be in the next Fan Fest, you can be. Comment below, watch the videos, hang out, enjoy yourself.
Subscribe.
You could subscribe, click that bell. You could be in the next Fan Fest. So, get involved. Do it. It's a great
Stop
time.
it. I take back every nice thing I said.
Starting to get a little vertigo or something going on there, Tim. Can you stop?
Remind me instead of a Christmas bonus to get you a nose hair trimmer, buddy.
I pluck those.
It's actually
I pluck
pretty
them.
good. Actually pretty good.
I pluck my nose hairs.
That's
It
pretty
hurts
good.
like shit, but
I understand. I do the same. So
all right.
But all right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Tim, if you'll just stay on for a few minutes. But
thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching and listening. Thanks you guys for being on the show. We'll see everybody next week, and we'll see you at your local